Hello, folks. So let's speak about the month of December today. I'm actually also going to post the 2025 annual forecast for all of the signs next week. So stay on the lookout for that. But for now, we're going to talk about the month of December. Yeah. So in December, we have a rare phenomena happening. We actually have 3 moon cycles, 2 moon cycles in the very beginning and very end of the month, and a full moon cycle in the middle of the month. We continue with the Mercury retrograde until we arrive at the full moon mid-month. Venus will zip through Sagittarius, Capricorn, and end the month in Aquarius with Saturn. Yeah. So what is the first event of the month? Well, that's the new moon. That's the new moon in Scorpio at approximately 15 degrees in the nakshatra of Anuradha on December the 1st. In the early hours of the morning, we have a retrograde Mercury close by in Jyeshta, suggesting we're returning to some matter, some unfinished business related to where Scorpio falls in your chart. There's a new chapter wanting to start here, actually. But there's a feeling that we need to revisit and revise some pending matters before we can move ahead. Mars is 9th place from this new moon, Mars being the ruling planet of Scorpio. And the controlling planet of Anuradha, which is Saturn, is 4 places away from this new moon. So we know that there is an easier flow of energy now, right? Like, it's a matter that you've been discussing for a while. Again, it depends on where Scorpio falls in your chart. But this is, I think, the culmination of that, whatever it's been going on for weeks and months. But it's not over yet, because Mercury is in retrograde. But you could see like what you would call like a climax of talks or something that's related to Scorpio, right? This is that place, this is that time where something is going to come into climax. And you know either way which way you're going to go. But the path is not paved yet. Like it's you can kind of see, you can envision it, but it's just there's something in the way. We need to resolve that first. Anuradha is actually friendly nakshatra. It's associated with Mitra. It has the power to grant abundance. Anuradha means following Radha or after Radha, suggesting a new chapter related to relationships. It can mean a second chance, right? Like with an old relationship. Or you may be making a commitment to a second spouse for marriage. Venus transits in Capricorn. The transit begins on December the 2nd. And then Venus will go into Aquarius on December the 28th. Venus makes its move into Capricorn on December the 2nd to stay until December the 28th. So if you see here, Capricorn and Aquarius are both ruled by Saturn. Venus in Saturn's sign can make you serious and sober about all Venetian matters, including money, especially money, but also relationships. It can instill fear. It can instill fear and rejection in these matters, but also it can make you organized and plan well for the future. and be conservative and be realistic. This will give encouragement for those that are contemplating making a commitment to a loved one, right? Venus in Saturnian signs can also make you very dutiful towards loved ones and generally towards your life goals. On December the 28th, Venus moves into Aquarius, where it joins Saturn. Venus will stay in Aquarius till January 28th. And here it's going to connect to both Rahu and Saturn. Rahu is a co-ruler of Aquarius and Saturn by conjunction. It's a great time to give our relationship a serious glare, right? Understand whether we are meeting the needs of our partners. Understand whether our needs are being met. I'm actually going to talk in length. I'm going to make a separate video about that upcoming Venus transit in Pisces. That will be 4-month long transit starting at the end of January. What else is happening this month? Mars turns retrograde. I've made a separate video on that. Have a look there. The retrograde cycle is from December 6th till February the 24th. So the video that I speak about this Mars retrograde, I actually focus on each sign and the impact there. So you can go through that. I will link that below. Mars entered Cancer on October the 21st and has been lingering here due to its retrograde cycle. And it will continue to linger because of its retrograde cycle. Mars will return to Gemini on January the 21st, 2025. The transit in Cancer may impact domestic life, including property matters, creating some tension there. Because we're talking about Cancer, Mars here can also lead to unethical actions and behavior, right? Emotions can run high. Some people will be agitated. This agitation and restlessness can be internal and perhaps not expressed in a healthy manner. Mars in Cancer can also cause anxiety. Uncomfortable emotions can come up. You will notice immature behavior as well in other people with Mars in Cancer. Because Mars in Cancer doesn't really know how to express, like the energy of Mars is not getting expressed properly. So it can be that passive-aggressive type of behavior that you can observe in others. I've seen that with Mars in Cancer. But Mars being retrograde isn't going to exactly behave like Mars in Cancer, a debilitated Mars. Rather, this retrograde Mars in Cancer is when you can be focused, when you can be determined, when you can be strategic, especially when it comes to acquisition of some kind. The thing is, though, astrologers have all these different viewpoints about how does a retrograde planet behave. Is it behaving like, is it giving you the results of the sign before that, Mars in Gemini, or is it giving you the results of the sign opposite to that, which is Mars in Capricorn? I don't think it's as simple as that. Like, I think what happens rather is retrograde. It's a twisted energy, right? It's Vakri, right? Vakri is actually what retrograde translates into, and that's actually, I think, much more descriptive word of how a planet can behave when it's in retrograde motion. Vakri means different, unusual. So you're not going to get the results of a Mars in Cancer per se. But not necessarily, it's not going to be Mars in Capricorn result. Rather, it's going to be an unusual flavor to that Mars in Cancer. But because it's in Cancer, that flavor, that unusual flavor, can be influenced by Capricorn, if that makes sense. So your expectation, for example, would be negative in some area of life. Depends on where Cancer is falling. But yeah, out of the blue, out of nowhere, something happens that supports your position. For example, yes, your emotions might be, or your thinking might not be quite sort of like a Mars in Cancer is more focused on comforts, and it's not operating like a Mars. But when it goes retrograde, then you become aware of that, and then you start to strategize. Mars in Cancer is not a logical Mars. Mars in Capricorn is a very logical Mars. Right? So the Mars in Cancer retrograde, you start to kind of think, oh, okay, wait a second. That didn't make any sense, what path I was going on with my thinking. So let me revise. Let me be more focused, more strategic, rather than emotional and chaotic. Right, not thinking about the long-term future. So this is the kind of thing that can happen there. There will be a lot of dynamic activity when Mars reaches the sign of Gemini in January. It's a positive transit for education, for travel. In the Gemini portion, Mars actually doesn't receive the aspect of any planet, which is also a good thing, right? Because that Mars in Cancer is receiving Rahu's aspect. Then we have a full moon in Taurus on December the 15th. This is a real turning point of the month, actually. The beginning of the month is going to look different from the second half. And the second half is an improvement for sure. In the early hours of the morning, we have a full moon in Taurus conjunct Jupiter on December 15th. This moon cycle happens in the last degree of Taurus in Mrigashira. The moon is aspected by a retrograde Mercury from Scorpio, just about to go direct. So now you've got that aha moment. You can just go forward. Like, okay, you've figured out how to deal with the situation that you've been thinking about and dealing with for weeks and months. And now you can move forward with confidence. With two benefics aspecting this full moon, it's an excellent omen for money matters. If you're reconnecting with family at this time of the year, you'll be feeling quite good. There's certainly a return to relationships with Mercury retrograde, as well as Mars retrograde, controlling planet of Mrigashira. So there is a going back of some kind. It could be just, getting together for like the holiday season with people that from the past, right? It could be simple as that. Sun transit Sagittarius from December 15th till January 14th, which is a great transit for the Sun, which has been going through some rough terrain. Sun does not receive any aspects, so we can take a sigh of relief, right? Because it's transiting through the sign of its friend, a sign that is complete harmony with the sun's fiery element. It's a good transit for travel, for educational pursuits, also good for any activity that you want to do for growth, for self-development. To think about plans for 2025. To think, okay, you know what? I have these goals, and this is how I'm going to accomplish them in 2025. This is the time. The sun's transit here can actually be very supportive to think about, how to manage the coming year, how to strategize, how to meet your goals, what actions to take, that sort of thing. Mercury turns direct on December 15th, stays in Scorpio, however, till January 4th. Difficult spot for Mercury. Mercury is not compatible at all with the sign of Mars, its enemy, and Ketu, right? Co-ruled by Ketu. It creates a very foggy thinking. It creates a very sometimes deranged thinking with Mercury and Scorpio. It's a difficult place for Mercury. It does make people a little bit antisocial as well, and it does kind of it does kind of make the thinking pattern unreasonable. People can be unreasonable, illogical. Mars in Cancer, Mercury in Scorpio, unreasonable. So just watch out for that. You're gonna see that happening. Mercury goes direct the same as the full moon, as I mentioned, suggesting, of course, that we have culminated something, right? There's some fruition. And it's something from the past, possibly dealing with a difficult financial situation. You can understand now, though, how to proceed. If you were making some changes with your finances, how to make money, then you will now get the clarity that you need to forge ahead. Right? Mercury leaves Scorpio on January the 4th. We have another new moon this month. As I mentioned, this one is in Sagittarius on December the 30th. This new moon is in Purvashad, connecting with Venus, right? Because Venus is the controlling planet. Jupiter, the ruling planet, is in Taurus, in Venus's sign. There are no aspects to this new moon. It's a time when long distance travel can certainly feature, right? Because we are talking about Sagittarius. A new path can also open up for some people now, particularly connected to a relationship. It's certainly a time when relationships will take center priority in our lives, right? There are moments to enjoy here, and it's a good way to end the year, actually. If you're not celebrating or spending time with family and friends, it's also a good time to do solo activities, particularly adventurous activities. So, wishing everyone a happy and prosperous 2025. Take care, folks. Cheers.